calculation. That's the key point. Socialism cannot calculate the best uses of economic resources because under a socialist economic system, there is no market in in capital resources because capital resources are all owned by the same entity. And this is the kill shot for socialism. This is why it cannot work. This is why that's real socialism. This is why every time you see socialism fails, it's not because Stalin was a bad guy or Chavez was a bad guy or because it wasn't real socialism. It's 100% real socialism. This is what always has to happen by definition. The definition of socialism is that you have a single authority, a single entity that owns all the capital. So if one entity owns all the capital, that means there is no market in that capital good. There's no market for iron. What do we do with iron? Should we use the iron to build cars or should we build trains? Well, the entity that owns all the iron also owns all the car factories, also owns all the train factories, also owns all the possible uses for iron. And that entity decides everything. So in a capitalist economic system, the iron producer is independent of the car producer or the train producer or all the other uses of iron. And each one of those people has to bid for the iron. And the iron will go to the person who uses it most productively. So if the car maker is able to make more money by selling cars, because cars are a better thing than trains, in this context, at that time, given the current technology, given people's tastes, then the car makers will be able to get the iron, and then the iron makers will be producing iron and it'll go to cars, and then we don't have trains. Or the other way around. It's just an example, obviously. But the point is, if you have a market in capital, wherein everybody's able to own their capital, then you have a rational basis of calculating the most appropriate uses of capital and how to allocate that capital to meeting the ends of people, as demonstrated by people's own consumption decision, because people own their own capital and people make money from that capital and then they spend it on consuming things. So when you take that away, when you take the ability of people to consume and produce and accumulate capital, and you make that all centrally planned, and you have just one single authority that is in charge of determining what gets used where, you are going to arrive at the inevitable outcome of socialist economic system, which is economic collapse and the destruction of capital. This is really the key thing, that the capital stock itself collapses. And this is why, if you look at the collapse of the Soviet Union, it was not an incentive problem, because the incentive problem, as we mentioned earlier, was solved very effectively. Yeah, you wouldn't get rich by not working hard in a communist system in Russia and the Soviet Union. But guess what? If you didn't work hard, you got sent to the gulag. That's a very, very strong incentive. So it wasn't absenteeism that destroyed communism. It wasn't that everybody stopped going to work. It wasn't that everybody was lazy. People were going to their factories because if they didn't go to the factory, they'd get shipped off to the gulag. People were going, they were turning up. But what were they doing there? Nothing. Why? They were playing with rust, essentially. The capital stock itself rusted because the iron that was given to the train factory could not be used in the train because they miscalculated the amount of rubber or nickel or whatever it is that they used with it. And so they couldn't make the trains without those things. And then the iron rusted. And so the car factory was falling apart. The train factory was falling apart. The iron mine was falling apart. And all of that was falling apart, not because Stalin was a bad guy and not because there was bad incentives. Because without the ability of people to own capital and without having a free market for the allocation of those resources, you are unable to allocate those resources properly. And capital is a living thing. It's good to think about it as a living thing. It's like a fish in water. If you take it out of a market economy, it stops being capital. It's like taking the fish out of water, it'll die. And once it dies, it just becomes rust. It falls apart. And so that's... I know I've gone on for long, but this is a lot shorter than the very elaborate case that I try and make here. That really, if we want to live in a life that is different from basically monkeys slinging our feces at each other in a jungle, our only hope to do that is through the system of an extended market order in which we accumulate capital and in which we have free market and capital.
So Jim Rickards has just recorded a video that's not available to anyone in the public, and he's going to be talking about how this upcoming recession is going to be fast, it's going to be bloody, it's going to be nasty. But at the same time, he's going to show you how you can position yourself to profit from all of this chaos. Now, we've made this video only available to our viewers. Go to londonreal.tv/Jim. Watch that immediately. I can't say enough good things about Jim Rickards. He understands the global economic system better than any guest I've ever had on London Real. His predictions are almost uncannily true, and you can learn how to profit from his vision, from his expertise, and his understanding of economics. So go to londonreal.tv/Jim or click the link below. It's an excellent, excellent look on what's going to happen in the future and how you can position yourself to profit from that. Jim is one of the best in the business, one of my favorite guests on London Real, and he's very, very good at predicting the future and showing us all to profit from it. So click the link, and I hope you enjoy. Hey, it's Brian Rose, founder of the DeFi Academy. I've told you my 4-week crypto bootcamp is amazing, but don't take my word for it. This is what my students are saying.
The DeFi Academy was an amazing experience for me. It took me totally out of my comfort zone.
In this course, I was challenged, I was held accountable, and pushed to do things that honestly weren't always easy.
It's been phenomenal, and I can't believe we're already up on our 4 weeks. It has flown by.
Going through this DeFi accelerator by far was one of the best courses I've taken.
You do this course, you really get into the nitty-gritty of the activities that will make you comfortable with decentralized finance.
Thank you so much to Brian and everyone at London Real and the DeFi Academy for even putting together an amazing course like this.
Anybody else that wants to do it, please sign up. It is well worth the money.